Tutankhamen's mask is an icon. And I think part of it is because it is made of solid gold, and a lot of people get wowed by that.
King Tutankhamun's golden mask is one of the most recognizable faces in human history. For more than 100 years, the world believed it was crafted specifically for the young pharaoh. But that belief is now being challenged. Using a revolutionary technology known as quantum imaging, scientists recently scanned beneath the mask's flawless gold surface. What they uncovered stunned researchers and sent shockwaves through the field of Egyptology. Hidden beneath the visible layer were microscopic changes, subtle reworkings, and the faint traces of an identity that appears to have been deliberately erased. A presence that was never meant to be seen again. This isn't just a new archaeological detail. It points to a carefully concealed truth, one that suggests a massive cover-up stretching back over 3,000 years. The iconic mask admired by millions may not be what it was claimed to be. And if these findings are correct, they don't just rewrite the story of King Tut. They force us to rethink everything we thought we knew about ancient Egypt's golden age. Small cracks lined the golden face. Beyond it lay a staggering treasure trove: golden chariots, glittering jewelry, sacred statues, and a magnificent royal throne. But deep inside, within the innermost of 3 coffins, rested the single object that would captivate the world forever: the golden funerary mask. The mask is astonishing. Standing about 21 inches tall and weighing over 22 pounds, it's heavier than a bowling ball made entirely of solid gold. Its surface is richly decorated with precious stones like lapis lazuli and turquoise, each placed with incredible precision. To the ancient Egyptians, this wasn't merely a work of art. It was sacred technology. Gold was believed to be the flesh of the gods themselves. The mask's purpose was to protect the pharaoh's mummified body and guide his soul, helping it recognize its physical form in the afterlife. Without it, the spirit risked wandering forever, lost between worlds. Carved into the back of the mask is a powerful protective spell from the Book of the Dead, written in hieroglyphs meant to shield the king on his journey beyond death. For decades, the world saw this mask as flawless, the ultimate symbol of ancient Egypt's power, craftsmanship, and divine authority. But there was a problem. Almost from the beginning, experts noticed details that simply didn't make sense. The most unsettling part? The clues were hiding in plain sight. It starts with timing. King Tut died unexpectedly at around 19 years old, likely from an infection following a severe leg injury. Egyptian tradition required that a pharaoh be mummified and laid to rest within exactly 70 days. 70 days. That meant carving a tomb, constructing 3 coffins, assembling thousands of burial artifacts, and creating a solid gold funerary mask, all within just over 2 months. The scale of that task bordered on impossible. And the tomb itself supports this theory. Everything about it suggests a hurried burial, as if preparations were made in a desperate race against time. The tomb itself was unusually small, far smaller than those of other pharaohs. Some of the wall paintings appeared unfinished, as if the artists had abruptly abandoned their work mid-stroke. Even the massive stone sarcophagus was damaged at the corners, suggesting it had been chipped away simply to force it into the cramped burial chamber. These oddities pushed experts to take a closer look at the treasures inside, and what they discovered was unsettling. Many of the items didn't seem to belong to Tut at all. Several statues featured facial traits that didn't match his known likeness. Pieces of jewelry appeared to have been designed for a woman rather than a young male king. Then researchers turned their attention back to the mask, and that's when the most striking detail emerged. The ears. The golden mask has pierced ears. In ancient Egypt, earrings were typically worn by children and women. An adult male pharaoh, especially on a sacred funerary mask, would never be depicted with pierced ears. For historians, this was a major red flag. Others noticed something else. The face itself looked unusual. The features were softer, more delicate, almost feminine. Even the gold used on the face was slightly different in color, noticeably redder than the gold on the rest of the headdress. That's when a shocking idea began to take shape. What if this mask was never meant for King Tut at all? What if, faced with the pressure of the 70-day burial deadline, the priests took a mask intended for someone else, made quick alterations, and placed it over Tut's mummy? That possibility raised the most disturbing question of all. If the mask wasn't Tutankhamun's, then whose was it? The answer pointed toward one of the most powerful and mysterious women in history, Queen Nefertiti. She was Tutankhamun's stepmother, and after her husband's death, she vanished almost completely from historical records. Some historians believe she didn't disappear at all, but instead rose to power herself, ruling Egypt as pharaoh under a different name. What if the golden mask was originally created for her? That idea would explain the pierced ears, the softer facial features, and the details that never quite matched a young male king. For years, this possibility fueled one of the greatest debates in Egyptology. Was the most famous artifact on Earth a flawless masterpiece or a reused royal relic? For decades, there was no way to prove it. The theory remained speculation. Then, modern X-ray technology entered the picture and seemed to settle the argument once and for all. The mystery of the beard and the beeswax kept the debate over the mask alive throughout most of the 20th century. The idea that it once belonged to Nefertiti was thrilling, but there was one major problem: proving it would have meant damaging one of the most priceless objects on Earth. And that was unthinkable. So the mask remained on display at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, admired by millions, its secrets safely hidden beneath layers of gold. Then, in 2014, disaster struck. During a routine cleaning, the mask's long braided beard, an important symbol of divine power, snapped off. Museum staff panicked. Instead of calling in professional conservators, they attempted to fix it themselves. And they made a terrible choice. They used epoxy, industrial-strength glue meant for plumbing or car repairs. They smeared it on, pressed the beard back into place, and hoped no one would notice. Everyone noticed. Even worse, some of the glue spilled onto the golden chin itself. An artifact that had survived more than 3,300 years had now been damaged by hardware store adhesive. The backlash was immediate and explosive. Outrage spread across the globe. The Egyptian government was forced to intervene, launching a full investigation and assembling a team of top international experts. The restoration effort was led by German conservator Christian Ekman. His mission was to reverse the damage and save Egypt's greatest treasure. But Ekman quickly realized something else. This disaster had created a rare opportunity. Before the beard could be properly reattached, the mask could finally be examined in ways that had never been possible before. Using modern scientific techniques, his team set out to answer the Nefertiti question once and for all. And they weren't relying on ordinary X-rays. The team turned to a powerful technique called high-resolution X-ray fluorescence, or XRF. This method fires X-rays at an object, causing its atoms to glow, revealing exactly which elements are inside. In other words, it reads the chemical fingerprint of the gold itself. And this was the key test. If the face had been cut from a mask originally made for Nefertiti and replaced with a new one for Tutankhamun, the XRF scans would expose it. Different gold alloys would appear. There would be traces of solder, microscopic seams, or signs of heat-based alterations. For months, the researchers scanned every millimeter of the mask. When the results came in, Egyptologists around the world breathed a sigh of relief. Christian Ekman's findings were unmistakable. First, the gold. The scans showed that the gold used in the face and the gold in the headdress were chemically identical. They came from the same source, the same batch of metal. The slight color difference people had noticed for years was simply an effect of lighting, or a deliberate artistic choice. Second, the nameplate. The hieroglyphs spelling Tutankhamun's name were original. There was no evidence of another name being scraped away, hammered flat, or altered beneath the surface. But the most convincing clue was also the most elegant. Ekman drew attention to the thin blue stripes around the eyes and across the headdress. These details are made from extremely fragile colored glass. If a new face had ever been soldered onto the mask, the intense heat, well over 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, would have instantly cracked or melted that glass. It didn't. The glass was flawless and completely undisturbed. The conclusion was unavoidable. The mask was crafted as a single, unified piece made specifically for King Tutankhamun. As for the pierced ears, Ekman suggested they were simply a stylistic choice, or possibly a reference to Tut's youth. In short, science had spoken. The Nefertiti theory was declared dead. The official story became this. Egypt's artisans were so skilled that they created a flawless 22-pound golden masterpiece from scratch in just 70 days. Ekman's team carefully removed the epoxy and, in a final respectful touch, reattached the beard using beeswax, the same natural adhesive the ancient Egyptians themselves would have used. The mask was whole again. The mystery appeared to be solved. Everyone accepted this until a new technology changed everything. Peering deep into the gold, Christian Ekman's report became the final authority. In the eyes of the academic world, the mystery was over. The file was closed. Tour guides adjusted their scripts. History textbooks were updated. Documentaries repeated the conclusion with confidence and certainty. The golden mask was authentic. It had always belonged to Tutankhamun. Case closed. Or so it seemed. Because for a small but persistent group of physicists and Egyptologists, something still didn't sit right. Too many details continued to whisper that the story was incomplete. The impossible 70-day deadline, the unusually small tomb, the coffins that showed clear signs of being reused, and above all, the pierced ears, an unmistakable feature that refused to fit neatly into the official explanation. Ekman's suggestion that the earrings were simply a stylistic choice felt unsatisfying, not impossible, but weak, like a loose thread left dangling in an otherwise perfectly wrapped narrative. And history has a way of unraveling when even one thread is ignored. But here's the key point. These skeptics weren't accusing Ekman of being wrong. They believed his conclusions were honest. His methods were rigorous. His data was real. The problem, they argued, wasn't the science. It was the tools. X-rays and XRF scanners are incredibly powerful technologies. They can reveal differences in density. They can distinguish between gold and solder. They can expose cracks, repairs, and surface-level alterations with stunning clarity. But they all share the same fundamental limitation. They only see what's physically there. They can't reveal erased intentions. They can't expose changes made at the atomic level. And they can't detect alterations so subtle that they leave no seams, no solder lines, and no visible scars. If something had been altered not by cutting and reattaching, but by reshaping, reworking, or reassigning identity itself, then X-rays would never catch it. And that's when a disturbing idea began to take shape. What if the mask had never been modified in the way everyone was looking for? What if the real secret wasn't hidden in cracks or seams, but buried far deeper in the structure of the gold itself? To answer that question, scientists would need a tool far more powerful than X-rays. They would need a way to peer beyond density, beyond chemistry, and into the quantum signature of the metal. And once that technology arrived, the story of the golden mask would be reopened, whether the world was ready or not. But what if the ancient craftsmen were far more sophisticated than modern scholars had given them credit for? What if they knew exactly how future investigators would look for alterations and deliberately worked around those methods? Consider this. What if the artisans used the exact same batch of gold to fill the pierced ear holes, ensuring no chemical difference could ever be detected? What if they hammered the original royal name flat, then carefully recarved a new one directly into the same surface, adding no new metal, leaving behind no obvious trace? What if the face itself was attached with such extraordinary precision that the seams were not just invisible to the naked eye, but microscopically flawless? To an X-ray scanner, all of this would appear as a single, uniform object. Solid, untouched, perfect. Because X-rays can only show structure, not story. They can't see when metal was worked. They can't tell whether one section was reheated while another was left alone. They can't detect subtle differences in stress, cooling patterns, or atomic rearrangements caused by reworking. They can't read the memory locked inside the material itself. To uncover that kind of truth, scientists would need something radically different. They would need a technology capable of seeing not just what the mask is, but what it has been through. And astonishingly, such a technology had just been perfected. It was called quantum resonance imaging, or QRI. Unlike traditional scans, QRI doesn't simply create an image. Instead, it fires a controlled stream of quantum particles at an object. These particles interact directly with individual atoms, bouncing back subtle signals, like an ultrafine sonar operating at the atomic level. By analyzing those echoes, the system can build a three-dimensional map not just of the material, but of its molecular structure and thermal history. It can distinguish metal that was poured and cooled once from metal that was cooled, reheated, hammered, reshaped, and cooled again. In theory, it can detect seams only a few atoms thick, alterations so precise they border on the impossible. This wasn't technology meant for museums. It was designed for advanced physics labs, aerospace engineering, and classified materials research. And now it was being aimed at the most famous artifact on Earth. A small, secretive research group, funded by a private university and operating under the codename Project Osiris, quietly obtained permission from the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities to conduct a new, completely non-invasive scan. Officially, this was nothing more than a technology test. No one involved truly expected to find anything new. The goal was simple: prove the machine worked. In late 2024, long after the Grand Egyptian Museum had closed for the night, the team carefully wheeled the massive QRI scanner into position. Security was tight. The halls were silent. The golden mask rested exactly where it always had, unaware that it was about to be examined in a way no human artifact ever had before. The scanner powered up. For hours, a focused quantum beam swept slowly across the mask, probing the gold one atomic layer at a time. The only sound in the room was the low, steady hum of the machine. The team leader watched streams of data scroll across a laptop screen, patterns, graphs, and molecular signatures. At first, everything aligned perfectly with Ekman's earlier findings: uniform gold, consistent structure, no obvious anomalies, confirmation after confirmation. Then the scanner reached the cartouche, the oval frame containing Tutankhamun's royal name. And that's when the data changed. When the first images finished processing, the room went silent. The team leader froze, then slowly set his coffee down before it slipped from his hand. What he was seeing on the screen made no sense, and yet there it was. The quantum data didn't simply challenge the old X-ray conclusions, it obliterated them. Every member of Project Osiris stared at their monitors, realizing something chilling and exhilarating at the same time. They were the first people in more than 3,300 years to witness the mask's true history. The implications were staggering. Once this information became public, the foundations of modern Egyptology would crack. They began with the face. The quantum scan revealed something the team referred to as thermal ghosting, a faint but unmistakable molecular signature tracing the precise outline of the mask's face. It showed that the gold in this area had been heated to a significantly different temperature than the gold in the surrounding headdress. This detail changed everything. Christian Ekman had been right about one thing: traditional front-facing soldering would have shattered the delicate glass inlays. But the ancient artisans hadn't worked from the front. They had attached the face from behind using an advanced method of high-pressure, localized heating that left the visible surface untouched. To X-rays, the mask looked flawless, but the quantum scan detected the internal stress patterns, the atomic scars left behind by intense heat and mechanical force. The conclusion was unavoidable. The face had been cut out and replaced. Then came the ears. What the team found there was even more shocking. X-rays had shown nothing unusual, just solid, uniform gold. But the quantum scan revealed two perfectly shaped cylindrical inserts embedded deep within the earlobes. The original pierced holes had been filled using rods of gold taken from the exact same alloy as the rest of the mask. The craftsman had then hammered, compressed, and polished the area with such extraordinary skill that the seams vanished completely. No cracks, no joins, no visible clues, except at the atomic level. The quantum scan detected subtle differences in metal grain orientation and density, evidence of localized reworking. The ears had been pierced and deliberately erased. And then came the discovery that stunned even the most skeptical members of the team. The name. Traditional X-rays showed only one thing: the cartouche of Tutankhamun, clean and untouched. But quantum resonance imaging doesn't stop at surfaces. It analyzes atomic displacement, how atoms have been shifted, compressed, and stressed over time. Beneath the visible hieroglyphs, the scan revealed chaos. The gold inside the cartouche had been hammered, flattened, and scraped far more aggressively than anywhere else on the mask. The molecular structure showed unmistakable signs of erasure. Something had once been there, and it had been violently removed. The original name hadn't been replaced. It had been destroyed. But the quantum scanner had one final capability. By mapping the faint microscopic patterns left behind by the original hammer strikes, the ghost impressions of the first inscription, the system could digitally reconstruct what once existed. A computer model began assembling the data, tracing invisible paths etched into the gold more than 3 millennia ago. The room watched in silence as the ancient hieroglyphs slowly reappeared on the screen. It wasn't Tutankhamun. It wasn't a male pharaoh at all. The name that emerged belonged to Neferuaten. And in that moment, everyone in the room understood exactly what they were looking at. The world's most famous mask had never been what it claimed to be. This was the smoking gun. Neferuaten is not just any name. It is the official throne name that many historians believe Queen Nefertiti used when she ruled Egypt as pharaoh. With that single revelation, the debate that had haunted Egyptology for generations was finally over. The Nefertiti theory wasn't speculation anymore. It was proof. The quantum scan didn't just uncover alterations. It revealed an entire hidden chain of events, frozen in gold for more than 3,000 years. When King Tutankhamun died suddenly, nothing was ready. There was no completed burial mask, no grand tomb prepared specifically for him. Chaos followed. Power shifted. His successor likely claimed Tut's intended tomb for himself, leaving the young king with nowhere worthy to be buried. And the clock was ticking. 70 days. No extensions, no exceptions. Faced with impossible deadlines and enormous political pressure, the priests made a desperate decision. They turned to what was already available, the burial mask of the previous pharaoh, Queen Nefertiti. Working in frantic secrecy, they began altering the mask. They carefully plugged the pierced ears that marked it as female. They commissioned a new face, one modeled after the young boy king. With extraordinary precision, they cut away Nefertiti's original features and attached Tut's likeness from behind, hiding the seams so perfectly that even modern X-rays would miss them. Then came the final act. They erased her name. They hammered her royal cartouche flat, obliterating the hieroglyphs that once declared her rule. And into that same gold, without adding new metal, they carved Tutankhamun's name sealing the deception. By the time the burial was complete, the transformation was flawless. For over 3,300 years, the mask sat in silence, admired, revered, studied, believed to be the ultimate symbol of a boy king's legacy. But now, we know the truth. The golden face seen by millions today is not just King Tut's. It is the final, hidden chapter of Queen Nefertiti's reign. A masterpiece of ancient craftsmanship and one of the most successful historical cover-ups ever carried out. And it raises an unsettling question. If this secret survived 3 millennia, if it took quantum-level technology to expose it, what other solved mysteries are still lying to us, waiting for the right tools to reveal their true story? What do you think about this discovery? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more hidden truths, lost histories, and secrets buried by time, subscribe and stay curious.